My mornings are gonna so slow, like I've been working and working.
Come on in, everybody.
Working and then showering, and so it's kind of like a really slow morning. I know, but I think I'm going so. You know, it's all not, you know.
So did you get your license? Right now. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I feel you. Right on.
It's either been empty or you have the lights off. It's so funny. All the time, I'm like in the middle of the house and then I go dark.
Well, Jordan does, well, that's actually like. We'll like, right now, it's in like. It is, it's like, it's not, yeah.
I did bring, I'm passing that to clear.
Staying on track, man. I'll probably have a couple of minutes. I can't say no.
I would love that. That sounds amazing. That would be really nice. I'm also really good with the family. It's very taxable and one board.
You put ketchup in front of them. Like you like. That's weird. You dip it, bro. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. All right, I'll give you a pass. That's fair.
Oh, I need to bring it in.
Probably get some of that.
Right now?
Well,
You're getting one. Thank you.
What do I need to? Make sure that this happens, so that like 17 days.
You will want one of them.
There's
You're doing 2-to-1 exchange. I'm giving you one.
Oh, isn't that a great deal?
I have four. I have four and I have two.
If I have one, they're giving you one? Or if I have one, they're not giving you. I was like, oh,
You're gonna get $45 if you need one.
God.
All right,
Can
can I get a thumbs up for somebody on Zoom that you can hear me?
They will, they work.
Or a yes, or a hell yes? Or a,
Amen.
we got you.
I can hear you, Chris.
Oh, there you go. That's all I needed. Thank you, Tyler. That was more polite than I was suggesting. Okay, there's some people in line. I'm gonna go through a couple bold laws, while they're still in line getting settled. And then, we've got an announcement, and then we're gonna jump into some interesting data, economic data. That I wanna present and have a conversation about today. So, first bold law today, don't compare your insides to other people's outsides. Don't compare your insides to other people's outsides. And this is one that I used in context yesterday in a conversation with my wife, because this is something that is so hard to not do. When you see what other people have or the way other people do things, you are getting an incomplete picture of that situation. When you look at someone else's business, you're getting an incomplete picture of that person's business when you see it. And so don't compare what you know to be a complete picture of your business or your life or your relationships with an incomplete picture of someone else's. Okay, a reminder, this is a subconscious thing that we do. Everybody does it. We're all susceptible to this. and it usually makes us feel worse, right? So don't compare your insides to someone else's outsides. One more bold law, you can have reasons or results, and you can't have both. And this is not only a gut check time of the year. Would somebody open the door so they can get in? We can just leave the door open. That's fine. We can leave it open. We're at a gut check time of the year, right? The market has pulled back. We're gonna look at this data a little bit. And between now and late winter, you've got to grind in order to have the same level of successes that you've had in better markets. And so you can approach this one of two ways. You can dig in and you can grind and you can have results. Or we can have this conversation at the end of next winter and you can have all the reasons why it didn't work. Those are the only two options. You cannot have both of those be true. So the only person that can choose this is you. It can't be chosen for you, and you can only choose to have results or reasons, all right? So this is gut check time of the year. You get to decide which one you're going to have 6 months from now when we look back. Does anyone not believe this? Right? Okay. Jordan,
Yes.
not you, Jordan,
Oh.
or any of the other Jordans that we had. Thank you for being here today to exchange lockboxes. I understand there are people, myself included, that don't have all their lockboxes here to exchange today. This is not the last and final and only opportunity, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so if there are any other agents like me who don't have all their lockboxes here, how can they exchange their lockboxes with you?
So we are doing makeup exchanges still at the PPAR office in the training room. If you log into your member dashboard at PPAR.com, there's a tile for registrations for the makeup session. So you can sign up for makeup session and come over to our office and still exchange through September 21st.
You'll get that? Awesome. And
What if we don't have two? If we only have one?
If you have an odd number, then you get a discount on the towards
On the new one.
exactly.
What if we never bring?
They still work, they're just not under warranty.
Yeah, there's no warranty. They're no longer going to be supported by RSC, so you have to go through Centralock through everything, and eventually they're going to phase them out as well. So, the new ones have a whole new battery. It's a 10-year battery. They have a 10-year warranty. There's a backup battery, so if batteries do happen to die, they can engage a backup battery to get them off houses, and then they just replace the box. So
They operate really fast too.
yeah, you turn them in, you're worry-free for 10 years, whereas if you keep any of the old ones, then you're gonna be dealing with potential locksmith fees, or, if they get stuck on the house, then you're gonna have to deal with them.
We do have the paddle jumper if you have one stuck on house.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. But we're also thinking, with some of them, after time, the computers in them, are dying, and or the motherboards are failing. So, they have a 7-year lifespan, and we're at 8 years with them. So, we're on borrowed time already. So, 10 years.
Can we go back to Supra? It's so bad.
The cool thing about these, though, similar to Supra, for those who haven't seen them, is that the key compartments do fall out of the bottom. They don't come out completely like the Supras, which is good, I think. It holds it in place. But that way, if you haven't seen one yet, and you see one on a house while you're showing, that's how they operate.
Don't be like me, you can't figure it out.
Don't
Yeah, I know. I was like, where's the key at?
Any other questions for Jordan?
Yeah, and
Thank you for being here.
we're
today.
here till 1 o'clock.
So 1 o'clock
If you
today.
have one in the car, then come see us.
Awesome. Thank you, Jordan.
Yeah.
Okay, market update. This is really more of an economic update. As I was putting all this stuff together, that's just the way it works. So we will hit a little bit of local market, but a little bit more of the big picture, because the market is doing what we thought it would and what it normally does. Like if you've been following along on Tuesday mornings, you've been tracking that. Like we're right where we thought we would be. things are happening exactly as we expected, so let's talk about a little bit of a longer look from an economic standpoint. And this is all driven right now. The friction in the market is all driven by interest rates, yes?
Yep.
Yes. Okay, so this was last month. We were sitting at 7.1. I just pulled the number this morning, 7.33. Yep, that's where we are.
Where are we going?
Where we
That's a
going?
good point. And
When am I gonna get there?
okay, interest rates are driven predominantly by the Fed's reaction to inflation, right? We talked through all this stuff at length. So inflation as of right now, all item inflation, we're sitting at 3.2% for the month of July, or for the month of July. August data comes out next week. Core CPI, so that's all items less food and energy, 4.7. What's the target for this? What's the target for all items? 2%, right?
Change that to 3. Just call it good, right?
Just call it good. Change it to 3. No, 2% is the target, and the Fed is absolutely committed to getting us to the target. And they're still talking about a soft landing, right? That's a term that you've heard in the economy. So basically, keeping the expansion of the economic impacts of raising of interest rates to a minimum and having it be a soft retraction landing right there on that 2% line. That's what we're going for. Who remembers this chart? We looked at it the last couple of months. So this is a probability chart based on interviews that not interviews, what is it called? Survey they send out to all the Fed chairs of where they think interest rates are going at the Fed level. Okay, so we currently sit right where this band is. We currently sit at 5.25 to 5.5, and that's it's a range. That their interest rate is always a range, but they're saying like our target rate is 5.25 to 5.50. They meet on the 20th of September. That's their next meeting when they will decide what interest rates are going to be. The probability when they have surveyed all of the voting Fed members, there's a 93% probability that it will stay where it is. According to, and this was last week, this is data from last week. So another way to look at it, this is the same data. There's a 93% chance it will stay where it is. There's a 7% chance that it will bump by 25 basis points again, jump up. Okay, let's go to the next meeting after this. So November 1st is the next meeting. 59% chance that we're staying right where we are even then. There is a 40% chance that we will be higher than where we are today in November. Let's go to the next meeting, December 13th. 56% chance we're right where we are. About a 35% chance we're higher. And look, first time on the board, there's an 8% chance that we actually drop into the last meeting of the year in December. That's a very small chance, right? But
Tell me.
you're telling me. Somebody had to do it. January 31st next year. So here we are in next year. Still, highest probability is right where we are, not unchanged in the Fed rate, and only about an 19% chance that we've dropped. So 80% chance we are where we are or higher at the end of January of next year, according to this Fed survey.
And the survey will be updated many times between now and then.
Right, it's updated at every meeting. So March 20th, still, what is that, a 57% chance that we are where we are or higher. Over 6 months from now. And around a 40% chance that we are lower. May 1st is the first time that there's a higher probability we are lower than where we are currently. That is a long window for interest rates. And so again, the blue bar shows the highest probability median. And obviously the further you go into the future, the broader it gets. But you can see over time, regardless of when it happens and at what speed, where are interest rates going? According to this, they're going down, right? I want to show you data right now that I think almost definitively proves it will happen faster than this.
An election.
Right? Election is happening. Right?
Oh, God.
Are you saying there's gonna be a special election?
We've already had.
Call 10K and see what he
So, is anyone interested in that? With definitive evidence in the data that it is gonna happen faster than this. Okay, let's go for it.
Fred,
Unemployment rate. So yeah, who knows who Fred is?
not me.
Fred is amazing. If you don't know Fred, I'd like to introduce you to Fred. So this is the data that comes straight out of the Federal Reserve in St. Louis, Kyle's hometown. Do you remember Fred when you lived there? Okay, so data that the St. Louis Fed puts out is the most accessible out of all the Fed banks. And you can go in and manipulate the data in a whole bunch of different ways. I'm gonna show you that right now. This is the unemployment rate. Okay, and they're gray on the blue bars that go up and down, they're supposed to be gray bars. Who knows what those represent historically? Recessions, right? And they always mark recessions on their charts with these, we'll call them blue bars, even though they're gray bars. And so I want to ask you a question. What happens to unemployment during a recession? It goes up every single time. What happens to unemployment immediately preceding a recession? Immediately preceding.
Low as ever been.
Just before a recession. In almost every instance, inflation starts to curve. Unemployment starts to curve. In almost every instance, there are obviously some anomalies. This goes back to the 1940s. And in almost every instance, unemployment starts to curve, and then we hit the recession, and then it goes, right? Unemployment has started to curve. We're at right now we're at 3.9. We were at 3.6 a couple of months ago, so it is starting to curve, and I think I have. This is a forecast of unemployment, the job markets in general. We sit right here, forecasted for the end of the year, 4% unemployment. That is a definite curve from where we have been. We've been at 3.5, 3.6 for about the last forever. 2024, 4.8. So you may say, well, this is not good. No, this is incredibly good. This is exactly what we need to see for the Fed to be able to to drop interest rates. The job market is projected to be strong, and yet unemployment is expected to come up. Both of those things are good. Job market strong obviously is good. Unemployment coming up will allow softening in the economy so interest rates can come down. Okay, I'm going to show you this chart again. It's the same data, just with a little more detail. And then I'm going to overlay this. It's going to get messy for just a second, but breathe with me. Let's go. Okay, so I'm overlaying unemployment rate with the federal funds effective rate, so the Fed rate. Okay, historically. What happens, we already talked what happens to unemployment during a recession. It goes up, right? And immediately preceding a recession, it curves and it starts to go up. What happens to the Fed rate during a recession?
Goes down.
It goes down.
economy.
Exactly. In every single instance, it goes down. There's a couple, the way that they did some weird things in the early 1980s, there's some weird things, but every other time it goes down and only down. And so if we find ourselves right now, and the Fed probability chart that we were looking at, they're looking at current economic conditions when they're making those forecasts. If we right now sit in this place where unemployment has crept up a little bit, We have other indicators that I don't have charts here, but we've talked through, like the yield inversion on the 2-year and the 10-year. Right, we've talked about that. It's incredibly inverted. You can get way better returns on short-term money than long-term money. All those indicators are that like recession is right here. We're about to see it. What is going to happen to interest rates according to those charts, right? What's going to happen to the Fed rate? So it goes down. Probably faster than this. In fact, so this is from NBA, just came out last week. They pull and pool this data from lead economists from across the country, like seasoned 40-year economists. And 2023, the average at the end of 2023 that they're saying interest rate for a 30-year mortgage, 5.8%. Where were we? 7.3. They're saying by the end of 2023, this is brand new. 5.8. This isn't like in March that we were looking ahead, hoping that it would come down. 2024, 4.9%. 2025, 4.6. How many of you have clients who have said, I'm waiting on the sidelines until interest rates come down a little bit, right? How many of them, if you could lock them in the mid-5s right now, would jump into the market, right? What about if you could lock them in the mid-4s, right? We're back to like, there's a lot of people that are interested in real estate transactions when that is true, okay?
One
Yes.
thing to keep in mind is those people that are in the 2-1 buy down. You know, how does this affect them? Because they'll need a refi. Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah. Oh, we're talking lots of refis. Am I right?
Yep.
Candace can tell us about that in a minute. Lots of refis coming down the pipeline. Okay, let's talk about demographics. I'm gonna keep it. I think people need it. Because regardless of interest rate, there is a strong demand for housing. And so not only are interest rates going to come down, but the demand right now for housing is as high as it's ever been. It is only going to go up. It's only going to go up. And as interest rates go down, I think we are in for a wave of business like we have never seen. And not like a COVID wave that there's a crazy amount of business all at once, but like a sustained season of lots and lots of activity. And so I want to show you that in the demographics. Okay, home ownership rate by age. Okay, so the percentage of people in age demographics that own homes. This lowest one, the gray bar here, is under 35. So under 35 years of age, 38%. 35 to 44, it jumps from 38% to 62%. That is a massive, massive jump. And you can see it just keeps going up from there. Median first-time home buyer age. Who knows what it is?
33.
33, but guess what? It just got updated. It's 34.
Wow.
Right, exactly. But look at this. What's cool about this? This is a demographic analysis that's been for the total population of the United States. Okay, an infographic. You've got the silent generation, you have the baby boomer generation, you have the what is it called? I don't know. We always forget about it.
Oh.
You have the millennial generation,
Yeah.
and then the Gen Z below that. So, if the median home buyer age for a first-time home buyer is 34, and the jump between under 35 and 35 to 44 is like substantial in home ownership. Let's look. This is as of April 1st, 2020, straight out of the census. Okay, so if we look, 31-year-olds in 2020, how old are they now? 34. 33, 34. Yeah, right.
Depending on when their birthday is.
They would be born in 89, right?
They'd have to be more than the first batch.
Oh, there you go. You can see on this graph though, we go 29-year-olds in 2020 who are now 32. Is the peak of the millennial generation. We've talked about this before. That this next year was the peak of 33-year-olds. These are the 33-year-olds that we're talking about, the peak of next year. These are entering home ownership, and for the interest rates, a lot of that has been delayed. They're saying, I can't afford a house right now. Affordability went kind of crazy on me, and I can't afford to jump into the market yet. And so you have a lot of pent-up demand. What is traditionally the highest demand first-time home buyer demographic, a lot of pent-up demand. You continue this on, I mean, 28-year-olds in 2020 who are now 31 is still higher than any age demographic of 34-year-olds that we've seen before. So we're looking at a solid 3-4 years of the highest level of demand for first-time home buyers that we have ever seen.
My interpretation is a little different. When you couple this data with the debt of people and credit cards and consumer debt, it doesn't show that I think it's not conclusive that the millennials that are supposed to be home buyers can afford buying a home right now.
Okay.
So my interpretation is different. I think rental will keep going up and people will buy less in this coming.
I mean, there is not enough supply to meet the demand from a home buying perspective, and so you're right. There is a massive undersupply, and there will be people who are driven to rent 100%. And yet, home ownership is still, and has proven over the last 6 or 8 years to be something that millennials actually do want and are pursuing.
Want and capable, I think, is two different things.
As interest rates come down, the capability will go up, right? And that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about in this current interest rate climate. There's still a high demand, which is when you look at this is the same demographic population by age on the left. That was the home ownership rate. We already saw that. Inventory is still super low because there is such a high demand, even with the high interest rates. And I think that will only, as interest rates come down, inventory will get tighter again, because there's an undersupply. This is something that's interesting. Hang with me. This may flop, but if you take this chart and you flip it upside down. I do this one first. Yeah, Kyle gave me some pre-workout.
This transaction and add a 0.
Okay, so here's month supply. All we did is flip it upside down. When you take this chart on the left, which is the demographics, the same one that we were looking at on its side of age demographics, and you zoom in here and then you overlay that chart, look at inventory. Look at inventory. This is going back in time with inventory, right? This is going back in time with 34-year-olds. It is almost an exact overlay. You can see inventory go down in proportion exactly to the amount of 34-year-olds, 33, 34-year-olds in the population. I just think it's interesting.
I feel like you're showing up with maps of Pangea.
And so Africa, South America and Africa fit perfectly together. Okay, let's look briefly at our local market. And then I'm gonna hand it over to Candace. She's gonna tell us a little bit about modern mortgage. Median list price. We've been tracking this one. If you look, the high for the year, June 16th, is when those two moving averages cross. And here we find ourselves September 1st. The 90-day average, which is slower moving, has come down 4% since the high. Okay, we can feel that, right? The prices come pulled back just a little bit. Not in every instance, not every single house. So don't get mad at me if that didn't happen to you. But in average, this is what happened. Compare this to last year's high was on March 25th, and if you look at the same day that we find ourselves, the data today, that was a pullback of 8% last year. So this year we pulled back 4%, last year we pulled back 8%. If you keep tracking the trend from last year all the way to the bottom, which was December 30th, 573 was the top, 501 was the bottom, 13% is what it pulled back last year in our local market year. I don't think we're gonna get to 13% this year. If I had to guess. Especially if interest rates move faster than what the Fed is predicting, and it moves more in line with what the economists are predicting, and we get down into the fives, and you can lock somebody into the fives by the end of this year, I don't think that we're gonna get down 13% like we did last year. So if you have somebody that's like, I'm waiting for the market to dip. You mean the 13% dip that happened last year? You got a 4% dip right now. Right? Where's the bottom? You don't know until you're looking back at it. So, I think that's all. Questions about any of this stuff? So takeaways here that I would take with you and talk to your clients about. Interest rates are going to go down. It could happen as soon as next week. It could start, or it could happen as late as next May. Right? Interest rates are going to go down.
But also every lender told me that last year.
I know. But I just showed you the data.
They also showed you.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. They didn't have the data.
5% and by May 10th. The same thing.
They didn't have the
They
data.
tacos. And they
Hey, you still ate the Chick-fil-A when they brought it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna get Candace's opinion on this in just a second, but that's the takeaway, right? Interest rates are gonna come down, and the data suggests that it's gonna come down faster than what the Fed has said. There's room in the spread for it to come down even if the Fed doesn't reduce, right? There's room in the spread for it to come down 0.5 point, 3/4 of a point even. Yes,
I just wanna say thank you. There's a lot of
Oh,
good
you're welcome.
information.
you're welcome.
Appreciate you.
Even the clip art, the cutting out.
Yeah,
kind of did.
even playing the song backwards on the record,
I
yeah.
know. Candace, come on up here. So Candace from Motto Mortgage, y'all give it up, Candace Brothers. I'm gonna give this to you
Okay,
so they can.
So-
Back there.
thank
How's
you
it
for
going?
having me. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Before I hand it over to you
Yeah.
to go through your couple slides,
Yes.
how do you feel about what I was just talking about, economic data? I mean, that's like more lender world than realtor world.
It is.
How do you feel about that? It's gonna happen faster than what the Fed says?
Here's the issue, and this is why nothing's happening quickly right now. It's not just about what the Fed does, it's about what the Fed says that they're going to do or what they say they think they might do, right?
Mhm.
So mortgages always have to be forward looking. When I originate a loan, it takes 60 to 90 days for that loan to get to the wholesaler, to get packaged, right? To get to Fannie and Freddie, to get turned into a mortgage-backed security. So that's why there's some margin in there because everybody's forward looking. Nobody knows. The Fed keeps going, well, we think we might. Well, we think we might. So the lenders, because they have to be forward looking 30, 60, 90 days, they can't afford to lower those rates because we don't know what the Fed's actually going to do.
So I've also heard though, that as soon as the Fed indicates that there is a pivot,
Mhm.
that the spread will drop dramatically.
So we saw it this year. So I tend to track base rates. That's what I look at on a day-to-day basis, right? Because anytime I quote a rate for your client, it takes 20 data points for me to get a rate. It's not as simple as here's today's rate, right? It's based on their personal scenario. I track base rates. And so up until July-ish, 2 weeks before every Fed meeting, we'd see volatility in rates and they generally would drop. Like I would know what they're going to do 2 weeks before the Fed meeting. We haven't seen that the second half of the year. So it's been a little harder for me to project what I think that they're going to do.
Okay. But if they did come out and say, we're not gonna raise and we anticipate
Rates will drop.
rates coming down by the end of the year.
Then we'd probably see an immediate 1/4 point drop would be my
Okay.
guess. So we're today base rate wise, we're a 1/4 point off of the high for the year.
Yeah.
Okay. The high for the year, we've hit it twice. Most recently, it was the beginning of August when the federal debt for our country got downgraded. That's when we hit the high most
Which is-
recently.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you.
Slides here.
Yeah, thanks. Well, as Chris said, my name is Candace Panariso. Before I talk about Motto, I'll talk a little bit about myself. This is my 16th year as a lender. It's my 20th year in the financial services industry, and I did not cover up my gray hair before I came in. So if you look really closely, there's a nice streak right here. So I've been doing this for a little bit. I've been with the brokerage that I'm with now for 3 years. I am an originator. I also run the operation. So I'm one of the owners. Prior to that, I was a portfolio lender. I was on the retail side with a local bank. So if you're familiar with First Bank, it's the largest privately held bank in Colorado. I was a senior VP with them for 13 years. Okay. As a portfolio lender, what that means is I underwrote, closed, and unfortunately collected on all of my own loans. And I started in 2005. So I got to do 2005, 6, 7, 8, and right. And then the downturn after that. Did everything from car loans to home equity loans, mortgages, commercial mortgages, construction loans. Towards the end of my career, I was primarily focused on large scale commercial development. So to give you an example, I did that building right there. So that used to be a government building, right? I helped the local family that purchased it to convert that into a Holiday Inn Express. If you ever go up to Summit County, I was the primary construction lender for Breckenridge Grand Vacations and all of their timeshare resorts. So I've been around for a little bit and I know how to underwrite, okay? Outside of that, I know that people do business with people that they like, know, and trust, and it's hard for you guys to get to know me in the 5-10 minutes I'm going to be up here, but just a little bit about me personally. I'm originally from Michigan. I've been out here since 2005. The sun shines a whole lot more here, so I plan on staying. I have split my time since 2005 between here and Summit County. I've lived and worked in both places. You're fine. I have 2 kiddos, almost 8 and 10. So my husband and I live here in town, moved back from Breckenridge to be closer to family. If you didn't pick up by the last name, do you know Ethan? Yeah. Okay, Ethan's my brother-in-law. I married into the crazy Italian family. I did not start there. So yes. The fun part, I know. He's hunting us. So, but outside of that, I've been really involved in the community, both here and in Summit County. Most of my nonprofit work has been in the housing area. So Summit County Combined Housing Authority, Habitat for Humanity, here in town, Partners in Housing, Rocky Mountain Community Land Trust, Gresham Housing. I've been involved with all of those. So been around for a little bit. So that's a little bit about me. So as far as Motto, so Motto Mortgage, we are Motto Mortgage Financial. Motto Mortgage is a franchise. So just like you guys are Keller Williams Premier, we are Motto Mortgage Financial. So if you hear of another Motto Mortgage, the last word is the differentiator. The great thing about that, I never thought I'd be an owner in a franchise, but I can say as far as franchises go, we've got great technology, great marketing support. We get all the bells and whistles, and so I really appreciate that. In addition to that, specifically for lending, there's all these wholesalers throughout the country. Any broker who qualifies, meets their qualifications, can sign up to broker loans with them. The benefit of us being with Motto is that we get our pricing based on the whole Motto network throughout the country, not just on what our office does. So we get the premier pricing with any wholesaler we sign up with, which I appreciate. These are all of the products that we offer. I'm not going to read through these. Probably the easiest way to do this is what I can't do. So raw vacant land, there's not a wholesaler that will take that. So I'm an out on that. Leased land, so Chateau at Antelope Ridge, I am not your person, or mobile home parks, I'm not your person. True commercial lending, I will refer that out. So that being said, I've been in the banking industry for a very long time. I have lots of contacts, and candidly, guys, all of these loans, while I can do all of these, I may not be the best person for you to do those loans. If I know that's the case, then I'm going to refer you to somebody that I know is the best person for that, because I want you guys to have the best experience. I want your clients to have the best experience. It's more important to me that the loan gets done correctly. So if I can't do it or I'm not the best person, I will absolutely let you know. Couple of things I did want to point out, because I forgot to update it on there. Have you guys heard of the UWM 1% down program? So it's not really 1% down unless your purchase price is $200,000 or less. It's basically a $4,000 grant from UWM. I just closed one last week. The reason I like that program, if your client does have a little cash, as opposed to a Chaffa, Chedak, or Chenoa, there's no other lender involved, right? There's not a committee that it has to go to. There's no other application process. It's literally a $4,000 grant that shows up on the closing disclosure. So I really like that. It's much smoother for the client. Other things about Motto. So I do have one other LO here, loan originator here. He's in San Diego at the moment for a funeral, but super interesting guy. Would love to have you guys meet him. He is actually training to be an Olympian in speed skating. It's his other job. So yeah, super cool guy. And then with my connections to the mountains, I do have a lender up in Summit County. So if you guys are ever doing business in the mountains, I've got the girl for you. The mountains don't always play nice in the sandbox with other people. They don't like to give access to their information. So if you have a local lender, that will help your offer get accepted. And she's got a great reputation. She's actually up for Best of Summit. She's one of the top 3 brokers in the county. So yes, I've got somebody in the mountains for you as well. I am doing a 1-hour CE class whenever we are done today. That is a class that I've developed just with my experience. It's Lending 101 for realtors. So all of the terms that we use, the calculations that we talk about, the different products, the process and how it works. So would love to have you stay after for that if it works for your schedule. And we can go through that.
We've got about 20-30 minutes left. And so she'll start right after that.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be later than that.
Yeah. So,
Cool.
one more quick thing, because I would be remiss if, the whole reason we bring in lunch is so that we can tell you why you should use us.
Yeah.
And you guys know that. So, couple of things, just, how I operate. So like I said, you guys do business with people you like, know, and trust. I am sure that you all have a preferred lender and you probably have a backup preferred lender. And I get that. Here's what sets me apart from other lenders. One, the fact that I've been doing this for 16 years. But outside of that, there's a couple things that I live by. One, bad news doesn't get better with time. If there's something going wrong on your file, either at pre-qual stage or once we're under contract, you're going to know right away. And it's not going to be me calling you with my hair on fire saying, oh my God, I don't know what to do, right? I'm going to call you and say, hey, here's what's going on with your file. Here's my plan A, B, and C. Here's where I need your help. Or this is what's going on. I've got it handled, but you need to know what's going on. Okay, number 1. Number 2, proactive communication. If we have a file in contract or a contract in process and you have to reach out to me for an update, that means I have failed and I don't really like failing. So you get proactive communication from me. It's generally on Fridays. Friday mornings is generally when I send my updates. It goes to you and the client and it says, hey, here's where we're at in the process. Here's what we still need to do. Or it might just be, hey, we're just hanging out waiting for closing. So generally speaking, my files are clear to close within 14 days or less. That's my goal. Some things I don't have control over, like sellers and inspections and those type of things. But the third thing, I don't believe in the not my job, not my problem philosophy. That is one thing that just drives me insane. So last week I drove to an employer to sit there and wait until I got my verification of employment because it wasn't getting it to me. The week before that, I had a title company who will remain nameless, who we had to push closing because they didn't get a payoff for their seller. I have contacts in the banking world, so I called all of my contacts and made sure that that payoff got done. Not my job. It's a seller. It's a title company, but we need to get to closing. Okay. So that's a little bit about me and how I operate. And on that topic, I don't miss deadlines. So I know there are lenders out there who don't care about your loan. Like we will have clear to close by your loan availability deadline, because that if I don't meet that, then your buyer's earnest money is at risk, and that's not okay.
Yeah, cool.
So that's how I operate.
Thank you. Yep. So yeah, she is doing a CE credit class immediately following this. We just have a few more things to get through. Okay, vision check-in. We're a couple months in on the vision that I laid out in June. And I want to hit a couple of pieces of this and give you some updates on how it's going. So your environment is simply who you see and what you experience every day. That's from The One Thing by Gary Keller, right? And so we determined based on that our environment must support our goals. And so we set out to create a productive, productivity specific environment in our office. And a number of y'all have been actively showing up and doing this. This is the slide straight out of the vision 2 months ago. So in reality, this is what we are doing now. So 8:30 every morning, we have lead in to lead gen. And it is a 30-minute mindset fix, I don't know, just setting up the day specifically in a few different areas. ETD2, which is your database, your sphere of influence. Tuesdays, obviously the PPAR look back that we go over. Wednesdays, expired and canceled. Thursdays, business, and Fridays, the wild card. I think tomorrow you're taking them out in the field, right? Sure. Yeah. So every single morning in this room at 8:30, we are setting our minds and getting into productivity activities. if you are not, if your business, gut check time, right? We already said this, if your business is not where you want it to be, and we're looking ahead at 6 months before things probably start to get marginally better in the real estate market. There's a lot of work to be done, and this will help you set that work up. This is not just for solo agents. This is not just for new agents. If you've heard that from anyone, they are wrong. This is for everyone. I'm doing this, and I'm doing the productivity hours that follow. So from 9 to 11, everybody goes into their offices for the most part, and head down is working on productivity. And you hear that bell ring, and everybody screams, and everybody cheers all through the office, and it's pretty awesome. It is a productivity specific environment. And I would encourage you, if you want a bump in your business, if you want to dig in and have the gut check, show up. And if you don't, you have reasons then, right? Okay, peak production energy plans. Another thing we talked about that we've been going through kind of systematically, talking about different effects of these things and how they can affect your overall productivity. And the one that I want to talk about next is nature. And so come on. There we go. So 2 weeks from today, after this meeting, we're gonna go hike 7 bridges. How many of you have hiked 7 bridges? Oh man, maybe we'll do a different one then.
It's still awesome.
Is it? Okay, never mind.
It's been years.
7 bridges. I was coming up with a hike that was like, you're really in nature outside of what feels like the city completely, and it's not too difficult. It's not like doing Blodgett Peak. So after the meeting, 2 weeks from today, we're gonna carpool over and go hike 7 bridges. Okay? And there may be a little bit of a talk about like, what does it mean to have a rhythm with nature? Like what are other ways that you can get nature into your life and have a positive impact on your energy, which will show up in your productivity? Shrooms? True. I told you, I'm completely open-minded to what this conversation is. Yeah, if you wanna do shrooms and go barefoot, that's fine.
Yeah, I get grounding and grounding.
Grounding, exactly. And maybe a buddy system for you.
All right, piggyback with someone.
I really don't know.
Okay, a couple other things that we have coming up that don't involve shrooms. Well, maybe they do, I don't know.
Better attitude.
September 18th, we're starting a new round of Ignite. Yeah, I know. And so the rhythm of this, it's gonna be 11 a.m. It's a bring your lunch. We wanna like productivity hours turn into Ignite. And we wanna bulk these things together instead of having you come back at 1 p.m. and do it in the afternoon. So productivity hours will roll straight into Ignite. 11 to 12:30, 11 to 1, and obviously team meeting days that would be postponed. We wouldn't do Ignite those days. Again, this course is designed to be skills to spark a great career, and yet this is a great refresher for anyone. And as the schedule is coming out, the calendar will have the specific class for that day. I would encourage you, regardless of the season of real estate that you find yourself in and how long you've been in the business, to look at the classes and participate in some of those and show up for some of them. And maybe on the days that you show up for Ignite, maybe commit to showing up at 8:30 and doing the whole thing and just having your work be from here, leading into Ignite. So this is something that we're going to be running for about 4 weeks, and more to come on that. Okay, so get ready. Rocky Mountain Summit. Okay, we're going to close with this. This is next week. How many of you are going to Rocky Mountain Summit?
Friday,
Yeah?
Friday.
Do you have a ticket? Okay.
You're speaking.
Can I tell you about Rocky Mountain Summit? Because a lot of you did not respond to that and have no idea, probably have no idea. How many of you have no idea what it is? Yeah, okay, there we go. Since the second year, well, actually, it's probably like the 7th year, but it's the 2nd year of the last 8 or 10, that we've been doing this. Last year was the first year back. Next Thursday and Friday, Thursday afternoon starts at 2 o'clock. There's a couple of different mastermind options. If you're in the top 100 mastermind, you got an invite to that. That's for the top 100 agents in the state. There are 2 other options for those of you not in that exclusive group. And then a welcome party to follow. We will also do a market center dinner after that welcome party in Vail somewhere. And then Friday, all day, Friday from 8 a.m. to about 4 o'clock. It's just one thing, one speaker after another, talking about different aspects. Market of the moment, luxury real estate, elevate your results in your life. Yeah, all kinds of good stuff, like high value event in a beautiful place. We do have tickets that you can purchase through the market center for $299. You will need a hotel. If you want to buddy up with somebody, there's still the room block that we've talked about before is completely full. However, at the Antlers next door for $250, you can get a hotel. And so if you want to go buddy up with somebody, we have tickets for $299. Come and talk to me if you're interested in going. And I can even help buddy you up with somebody to share a hotel. And really, you can do it with just one night in the hotel on Thursday night. Because you come in on Thursday morning, you stay the night, you drive home after at like 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon. So for one night, you can get 2 days of a great event in Vail for a good price. Questions?
Chris,
Yes.
question about productivity hours. On Monday, DTD2, that I saw that's a 30-minute block. What do I clearly I could show up and find out, but I want some motivation, so I get out of bed. What do you do in that 30 minutes that helps with DTD2?
So we talk about specific scripts that you can use based on the seasons, based on the market of the moment. Yeah, what'd you say?
Talking points.
Talking points. Yeah, I'm not allowed to say scripts. Dialogues.
Just kind of eliminating that writer's block that we run into with our database.
Right, yeah, and it's talking through for half an hour, talking through, here's some conversations that you can have today. Now, let's set goals for the next 2 hours and everybody go into their own little space and ring the bell when you set an appointment, right? And usually I want to have 15 conversations and set 2 appointments. It's a goal like that, a goal for your activity and a goal for your outcome. And then everybody goes off into productivity.
Well, if there are any Johnson teamers listening who are interested in brownie points, I would love to see you there Monday.
We are also.
Is that brownies?
We also brainstorm as a team and work off of each other's ideas, what worked well in the past.
Yeah.
What.
Exactly. So it's a mindset training. It is a little bit of a mastermind, quick mastermind.
Energy
building, talking through some dialogues that you can take to your clients, and then setting and sharing goals, break. Ready? And I like to have that break happen with about 5 to 10 minutes so that you can go and get settled. 9 o'clock hits and you're already ready to go. You're not starting to get ready at 9 o'clock. That's the goal. If you're starting to get ready at 9 o'clock, you're actually not in productivity until about 10 after 9.
I love it. I'll see you Monday.
Yeah. Awesome.
I just want to say, on behalf of Johnson people, when I walk through, like, I want to be here doing this, and I'm trying to get my schedule organized so that I can, but the times that I walk through, I'm like, what, like, that's a great little tidbit, right?
Yeah.
So I recommend, dead serious, I'd be here if I were you guys.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is that the things that we've done for the last few years aren't going to actually get you the success that you want right now. And the things that we've done for the last few years to be successful were the exception, not the rule, because the market that we found ourselves in was full of so much opportunity because of all the reasons we've already talked about. And we're not going back to that market again. right? Like, I wanna be very, very clear. In our lifetime, the chances of us returning to like what was 2020 to 2022 is basically zero.
Effective.
Yeah, and so if you got into the market or if you had your first real successes in that season, you may need to go to Ignite. Not because you're a bad agent, but because you don't know, you haven't developed the skills and the habits to be successful in what is normal real estate industry activities, right? And that's what we're trying to kind of kickstart us, jumpstart us into those activities that have proven for decades to be the thing that actually drives success in real estate sales activities. So, yeah.
I was just gonna say, when we're thinking, like, during the actual productivity hours, so like, you saw the picture of the bell. If you haven't seen, there's actually a freaking bell hanging. And for me, what I like about it, I know, but it's like sometimes sometimes I'm sitting in that room, and if I get distracted with something, I hear that bell go off, and it like every time I hear it, it makes me think like, am I doing something right now that is going to lead me to hell, or am I doing dumb shit? And
That's
Dumb
good.
shit.
and half, no, for real, half the time it's dumb shit. And so it's like, that, I think that whole idea of like creating the environment, even though everyone's in their own spaces, you just hear it in the distance. Although some of y'all got some weak fucking ring. They're like, bitch, ring the bell. Thank you. Anyway, but it does, it changes, it's like one thing, and everybody's brain does it, they're like, am I doing, or why is
Dan rang the bell and I was so mad that he beat me to it.
So that's a cool thing that's happening during that 9 to 11 hours
Yeah,
in here.
awesome. Thanks for that. All right, guys, Candace will get set up here and get started in the next few minutes with the Lending 101 class. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Come and see me if you want to go to Rocky Mountain Summit. We'll talk about it. Okay, give me just a second.
Thanks, guys.
They go